And that means that those individuals end up spending a lot of time not in control of anything, and then basically chasing the prospect, following the prospect's lead, which is obviously not the way to do it. If you do what I'm about to show you in this video, well, you're going to be in this sort of really good position where you can actually potentially get the clients that they lost, right? You win, they lose. If you've seen our channel, any other videos on the channel, you'll know that there are two key fundamentals that we always recommend that brand new business loan brokers stick to. And basically they are never buy leads, and number two is always make sure that you niche down and become a specialist in your field, okay? And if you want to learn more about that, I've tagged two videos to the end of this one, so you can dig in further to that subject matter there. But that said, if you're not buying leads and then you basically are niche down, you're going to be doing things organically, which means that you will inevitably get into these conversations online with your prospects. And one of the biggest challenges to that for new brokers is that, you know, when getting into these conversations, and you want to get that prospect onto a call, and all that prospect wants to do is fire these questions at you, what do? You know, the mistake here is actually trying to answer those questions. We never, ever want to answer those questions, guys. You will lose if you do that. Now, fortunately for you, most of your competition is doing exactly that, and it's brilliant, right? Because they think that building rapport and customer services are the ways to do this. They dive headfirst into that conversation, and it basically allows the prospect to lead them, and that means that those individuals end up spending a lot of time not in control of anything, and then basically chasing the prospect, following the prospect's lead, which is obviously not the way to do it. Now, that may even sound familiar to you if that's even been happening to you. Now, your competitors doing this are actually helping you out because you aren't going to do that. And if you do what I'm about to show you in this video, well, you're going to be in this sort of really good position where you can actually potentially get the clients that they lost, right? You win, they lose. So my point of all of this is that getting your prospects then onto a call is essentially a key skill to master, because it will directly affect your conversions, and ultimately that's your revenue and your profitability. You convert more of these online conversations into actual qualifying calls. The bottom line is that you are just going to fund more deals, and therefore you're going to make more money, which is exactly what we're here for. So let's dig in. Now, this is a 3-step process that goes as follows. You want to hook them in, number 1, diagnose the problem, number 2, and book a call, number 3. The goal of your entire online interaction is only to get your prospects onto a phone call so that you can qualify them. That's it. And then if they have a deal, obviously you're going to make some money funding it, right? So this is something that doesn't need to be overcomplicated. Now, I will just say this, as much as I say don't overcomplicate it, if this is something you've never done before, I can understand that you might feel a little bit awkward being this assertive expert, okay? Especially when, you know, you might even feel you're not even an expert, and I completely understand that. But the thing is, it's a mindset thing, okay? It's natural to feel that way for the first time, but it's definitely a mindset thing. And if you are thinking like that, then obviously this is something that we would need to adjust first before diving into this way of doing things. It's just a very simple tweak. So the first thing I want to talk about then is that, you know, your frame of mind and how you do this. Now, remember again, on our channel, we talk about the doctor and the patient dynamic and that relationship a lot when it comes to sales. And this is the same thing. A doctor's job is to diagnose the problem and therefore offer the right treatment. Your job as the expert in your field is to diagnose your prospect's problem or situation and offer the right solution. Now, if you're thinking, I'm not this expert, my answer to that is basically going to be, of course you are, because you're already niched down. It will come naturally. And all we want to do is establish that you're the expert at the very beginning of your online interaction. So instead of doing what most do and try and build a bunch of fake rapport, right? We're going to keep it pretty short and simple and just dive straight into the meat of everything here, right? You're coming at this as the doctor, remember. You're the expert even if you don't feel that way. So first we want to clarify why you're doing it this way. This is all about control over your conversions. These 3 steps, it's not just about getting onto a phone call to have a great conversation. It's also the start of your qualifying process. So think about it. By doing these 3 steps, you can also very, very quickly weed out a lot of tire kickers from the serious folk, simply because serious folk are going to be willing to invest their time on a phone call with you, okay? Doesn't mean that they're qualified. for funding. That's not the case here. But it does mean that we've got a certain level of seriousness now. So let's dive into these. The first step is hook them in. So let's imagine that, you know, I was targeting a business type that I already knew and I was familiar with because I'm niched down and I'm the expert, right? And I know that these business types suffer from cash flow issues. So they have responded to me from my outreach because I'm looking for prospects who require funding. And so the point of that is that we don't need to waste time on rapport because it's obvious why we're actually talking, okay? And they may then come in with their questions. And one of the common ones is, what are your rates? You know, you would then say something like this. Well, I don't know anything about you or your business right now, so I can't comment on what the rates for this deal would be. But I do notice that you run an X type of business. And I do recall from my clients that I've helped this year who run a very similar type of business that cash flow has been a major problem and the reason that they've required funding. And I remember one whom we helped do XYZ. They were able to achieve ABC with the funding that we actually secured for them. Now, quick disclaimer here, guys. I've completely made that up, obviously. If you are niched, it's for you to understand the challenges that your chosen industry and the business in that actually have. But the point here is that we've diverted away from any of the questions that were being asked. And in this particular case, you know, what are your rates? But by you taking control and moving that engagement to the perceived problem, whilst at the very same time confirming with them that you have experience, okay, you do understand their problem without them even having told you what their problem is. You have other clients with exactly the same types of businesses, right? And you must therefore know what you're talking about. You are an expert. This then also does away with any of the other common questions like, you know, can I see some testimonials or reviews, or, you know, how long have you been in business? All of that kind of stuff that justifies your existence. It's all about how you pre-frame who you are so that you are seen as this expert, and therefore you kind of kill off those conversations. So what you do next is really simple to do. And this is number 2. This is diagnosing the situation. So the next thing you want to do here then is confirm it's a cash flow issue or not, right? So what is it, right? So we want to diagnose the situation high level. And don't be super friendly on this either. Remember, you're the doctor and the expert, and these folks are rarely friendly people. Certainly my doctors are not friendly anyway. This is often a super simple thing to do because most of the time, if you're niched, you will have called the problem correctly, okay? And if not, they will know that has been or will be a problem. And more often than not, they'll simply, like, if you called it wrong, they'll just tell you what the problem is because you're already coming across as credible here, right? And that's really the key point here. Trust, credibility, likability, get your sales. Number 3, transition to the call. This is actually the easiest part of it if you've done the first steps really well. Simply transition to the call by stating that, okay? So as I say, I've helped ex-client do exactly this sort of stuff, right, with the funding. So it's not going to be too hard to get you funding, but first I really need to confirm and understand that we can do that and understand what this deal is going to be. And I need to do that on a Zoom call. So just a quick side note. It can be a phone call, but I much prefer Zoom calls because it requires more commitment to actually attend that versus picking up the phone. And if I've got more commitment, I basically know that I've got a very serious prospect here, right? And the fact that they are actually attending that Zoom call tells me they accept that I'm this expert too, right? So to recap, suggest the Zoom call. And then immediately after, you want to be offering them 2 dates and times. Now remember again, I keep saying this, you are the expert. And notice that no time are we asking their permission for any of this. We are being assertive and we are telling them what we need them to do next. We're leading this whole thing. It's all about pre-framing and leading and ensuring that you're in full control for when you properly qualify that prospect. And so your suggested dates, you suggest these dates for when you're free for the call, and they will basically mostly just pick one of the options that you provide, right? 99% of the time. And if they don't, obviously you need to do what's needed to book them in. But thereafter, you're now into your qualifying call and qualifying your prospect and their deal. And think about this. The more you get on that call, the more clients you're going to get overall, and the more deals you're actually going to fund. So let's recap here. The 3 steps are as follows. You hook them in, you diagnose their problem, you transition to the call. Don't overcomplicate this process. It's really simple. The faster you can get somebody onto that qualifying call, okay, the faster you have control over the prospects and the situation, the quicker you fund your deals. I hope this was helpful, guys, okay? So really, really, really simple. The main thing to remember is niche down, don't buy leads, Be the expert. Study your marketplace and your industry and understand what it is you're offering them, right? And then the only purpose for the online interaction is get that person onto a call. And by doing it the way that I've suggested here, it starts to filter out the tire kickers, because there's a lot of tire kickers out there and a lot of brokers waste a lot of time with tire kickers, right? We want to get rid of as many of those people as possible. Those then book in the call with you, which is where you then do your qualification, have a serious intent, and it gives you this audience that have basically been pre-framed to behave. They're waiting for you now to ask them questions. They're not there shooting a load of questions at you. So you get all of that done, you're coming across as the expert, and ultimately you will convert more deals and make more money. Hope this one helped, guys. Speak soon.